Welcome back guys for our next tutorial for Microsoft Office Word 2007. In this tutorial we will learn how to change the font and font size of a particular piece of text written in Word. So here is a random piece of text. I have just copied it. To change it, just select whole text and go to home. Here you can see this is home, and here you can see this is Arial. Just click the drop down menu and select any font you like. Now if you want to change the font size, just click here and select whatever you want to select to change the font size. Now suppose it's 12. You can also change this font by clicking this. So to work, just select it, then you can see the font increase and font decrease by this button, which is called grow font and shrink font. So when you click grow font, you can see the font size will increase gradually. Here you can see, and with this shrink font you can decrease the font size. So in this way we can change the font and font size of a particular text in Microsoft Office Word. And also if you want to change or install a new font, you need to go to the control panel, go to fonts, and just copy paste your font here. If you have some new font you want to install and want to use it in Microsoft Office Word, then you need to install it or copy it to this fonts folder in control panel. So this was the tutorial. Thanks for watching this video. guys for our next tutorial for Microsoft Office Word 2007. In this tutorial we will learn how to change the font and font size of a particular piece of text written in Word. So here is a random piece of text. I have just copied it. To change it, just select whole text and go to home. Here you can see this is home, and here you can see this is Arial. Just click the drop down menu and select any font you like. Now if you want to change the font size, just click here and select whatever you want to select to change the font size. Now suppose it's 12. You can also change this font by clicking this. So to work, just select it, then you can see the font increase and font decrease by this button, which is called grow font and shrink font. So when you click grow font, you can see the font size will increase gradually. Here you can see, and with this shrink font you can decrease the font size. So in this way we can change the font and font size of a particular text in Microsoft Office Word. And also if you want to change or install a new font, you need to go to the control panel, go to fonts, and just copy paste your font here. If you have some new font you want to install and want to use it in Microsoft Office Word, then you need to install it or copy it to this fonts folder in control panel. So this was the tutorial. Thanks for watching this video.
So in this series we're going to create a new database using Access 2016. Depending on what version you're using, these screens may be somewhat different, but most of the functionality should be there. So in Access 2016, when you first open a new project, you are given a variety of templates. We're just going to click on Blank Desktop Database. We're going to change the name to DB Tutor, and we're going to accept the default location and click on Create. When you open a new database, it opens to a default table. Just click on the X in the upper right corner to close that out. Let's just take a moment to look at the interface. So at the top you have several tabs, and each tab has different tools. This is referred to as the ribbon. On the left side you have a listing of all of the objects within the database. So databases store information in what's known as tables. Tables are really the heart of the database. That is the repository of data. That is where you store the information that you're trying to retrieve and track and report on. Databases can have many different tables. Those tables can be linked, and we're going to look at how to do that a little bit in this video. So let's go ahead and create our first table. So we want to click on Create, and we're going to click on Table, and it looks pretty much what we're just looking at. So we want to actually design this and not just accept what they've given us. So at View, click on the down arrow and choose Design View. It's going to ask you to name this. Let's call this, since we're going to use several different tables, we don't want to use just main table, because in a real company you're going to have various tables that store various types of information. So let's call this Ticket Tracker, and we'll append the word table. And go ahead and click on OK. So now you're in, as we said, Design View. This little symbol here, it's known as primary key. We're not going to get into that right now. The way you toggle it on and off is with this button, so we're just going to shut that off for now. So you have two columns, field name. So the field name would be something like customer first name, customer last name, ticket number, things like that. The data type is how is this formatted. If you've used Excel, you'll be familiar with how a column in Excel has, it can be formatted as text, can be formatted as date, can be formatted as number, very similar. So it's a good comparison to compare an Access table to an Excel spreadsheet, because they functionally are very similar. There's differences, but if it gives you a basic idea of what a table is. It's basically a spreadsheet. So let's start with case number as the field name, because it's going to be a ticket tracker case management database. And the data type is auto number. So that's fine. So that's going to start with 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to add a few more fields. So let's say customer F name, and this will be short text. Depending on what version of Access, you might not have an option that says short text. It might just say text, because in earlier versions there was text and then there was memo. Text allowed for 255 characters, memo allowed for a much larger amount. I'm presuming that for consistency they got rid of those two terminologies, and now you just have short text and long text. So we'll choose short text. Let's now use customer L name. This will also be short text. Now we'll put in associate name. We'll just use a full name there. And then we'll have incident date, and this will be date time. And then we will, let's just capitalize that to be consistent. Then we will have incident details. So this will be the actual description of what's going on. We'll have that be long text. Now, depending on what you're doing, you might have the entire description in this one field. Some ticket trackers may have two fields, one for the problem and then one for the resolution. So let's do that. That will also be a long text. And then we will do ticket, or actually we use the word case, so we'll call this case status. And I'm just trying to be consistent. Since we said it's a case number, then we should really talk about case status rather than calling it ticket status. Likewise, these are the incidents, so incident date, incident details, incident resolution. And that should about do it. So let's go ahead and click on save, so it saves the format. And then click on the down arrow and go back to datasheet view. Now, you can't really read the names because the columns are too narrow. So if you point at the column, you can then click and expand the width of the column. And whenever you make a change like this is considered a layout change, so Access will prompt you to save. So once I've made these changes, we'll go ahead and save again. Now you're actually free to enter information here. So let's just quickly put in some information. And to go from field to field, I'm tabbing. Let's widen this one a little bit more. Because it's a date, it prompts you with a calendar. Is in details. And there you go. You have now entered a record into your database. Couple things to point out. One, this really isn't a great way to enter using the datasheet view. We're going to talk in another video about a better way to enter data. But I really want to look at the format of the data in this one. So a few things. Incident date. If the incident date is always the current date, then you really shouldn't prompt for a calendar. You really should have this be a fixed field. Likewise, status, you probably only have a few statuses. Closed, open, escalated. So you really don't want this manually typed in, because if you're running reports and someone misspells the word, it's not going to come up on your report. Like say you're looking for all open cases and someone types O-P-N-E, they misspell it, and you're searching for the word open, it won't find it. So let's go back to design view and we'll make some changes. So for incident date, so when you highlight a field, down at the bottom here you actually have some attributes that you can work with. Default value is the one we care about for this. So if you type date with an open and closed parenthesis after it, that will populate it with the current date. For case status, we don't want a default value per se, but what we do is we want a selection. So if you click on the data type and there's a Lookup Wizard, you're going to get a prompt. I want the lookup field to get the values from another table. We'll look at that in a minute. Or I will type in the values that I want. We'll do that one. In this case, we don't expect the statuses to change in the long term. Closed, open, escalated, really no reason to link it to a table. The reason why you'd link to another table is if you're expecting these values to change, and we'll look at why values would change. So let's do open, escalated, and closed. Again, you get more values. This is just meant to be demonstrative. So we'll click on next. Do you want to limit entries to the choices? Yes, limit to the list. Do you want to store multiple values for this lookup? No. We want these to be mutually exclusive. And then we click on finish. So go ahead and save. Go back to datasheet view, and you're going to notice a few things. First of all, the date is now pre-populating. Second of all, if you try to do the status, you now have a drop-down box with your choices. So far so good. Associate name. You really don't want people to be able to invent associates. So you want to pull that in. But, unlike the case status, depending on the size of your organization, your associate names may be coming and going, particularly if you're in a larger organization. So, let's create a new table. So let's go to Create, Table. We'll go to Design View, and this will be Employee dir for directory.